What's up, it's Cinema Shogun here, and even though I would say we're still in the early stages of the war between Israel and Hamas and this whole overall invasion of Gaza, even though we're still in the early stages of this conflict, the US and the EU have already been making plans behind the scenes about what's going to happen in Gaza and with Gaza after this conflict is over. And I'm telling you right now, a lot of people are not going to be happy about the plans that they have drawn up. Now, this is not a for sure thing, but the conversations are being had behind the scenes that after the conflict is over, they're going to send in what they call a peacekeeping force, a UN peacekeeping force with soldiers from all over the United Nations, and they're going to occupy Gaza for who knows how long until the area stabilizes and they're able to, find new leadership for the area. I'm going to go ahead and dive into this information really quickly. The US and its European allies are pushing a plan to deploy an international peacekeeping force in the Gaza Strip after the war. According to people familiar with the matter, raising pressure on Israel to bring its military operation to an end as civilian casualties mount. The people, who asked not to be identified discussing private deliberations, said that U.S. and European officials concede big questions remain about whether such an operation would be workable in Gaza and recognize that Israel remains highly skeptical of such a plan. But they said that even discussing the idea may help push Israel to think more about wrapping up the campaign and consider what might come next. The discussions centered around the United Nations Security Council remain preliminary. They come partly in response to growing international calls for a ceasefire in Israel's assault on Hamas. In a sign of growing impatience with Israel's offensive, which has killed more than 11,000 people, according to Hamas-backed authorities in Gaza, the Security Council Wednesday approved a resolution calling for humanitarian pauses in the fighting. The U.S. didn't use its veto to block the measure in a rare break from its lockstep support of Israel. One option being considered by the U.S. and European officials would involve an expanding role for the UN Truce Supervision Organization, which was established in 1949 to help implement agreements between Palestinian Arabs and Israel following the war that broke out in 1948 after the creation of the Jewish state. Similar UN structures across the globe could be used as a template, the people said, pointing to a UN-backed troop deployment to Haiti, led by Kenyan soldiers, and another force mandated by the UN Security Council in Somalia to fight against the Islamic militant group Al-Shabaab. US and Israel weigh peacekeepers for Gaza Strip after Hamas. The office of Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu didn't immediately respond to a request for comment. He and his aides have said that any plan for Gaza must involve the destruction of Hamas, the demilitarization of the Strip, and the de-radicalization of its schools and social system. They also said they expect their forces to have freedom of movement there for the foreseeable future. The State Department didn't respond to a request for comment. The Senate testimony last month, the Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, said the U.S. wanted a future for Gaza that didn't include Hamas or Israel running the territory. So, in other words, it looks like they want Israel to wrap this war up so we can send in UN peacekeeping forces to oversee Gaza for the foreseeable future. Now, this could be happening for many reasons. I fully believe that the powers that be, and maybe our current administration and certain politicians, I'm not so sure if they were ready for the amount of backlash that they've gotten over this conflict. You know, this conflict really quickly made people turn on them. And I'm wondering if that's one of the reasons why they're kind of backing down. Because I'm telling you right now, with the amount of troops and military equipment and ships we sent to the area, we sent that to fight. But the response from the general public, it hasn't gone so well. It has not gone well at all. I mean, I think I've seen people from both political parties here in America, you know, be opposed to what's going on over there. And I don't know if they were ready for that. I don't know if they were ready for the amounts of people who are out here protesting, the amounts of chaos that has taken place since this. I do believe there are some people pulling the strings that want that to happen. But I also believe that there's also other string pullers, let's say that weren't really prepared for this. So I think we're witnessing a power struggle that's going on kind of behind the scenes, where one side definitely wants to drag us into chaos and war, and the other side is kind of scared of the pushback that they're getting, you know, when it comes to this situation. But for the people of Gaza, I don't know how that would how this would go over for them. You know, you have this war raging, and then it's going to come to somewhat of a sudden halt, and then other forces are going to roll into the area. How is that going to work out? If Hamas is this crazy terrorist group, would they not attack UN forces as well? So, you know, we quickly went from we're not getting involved to, oh, we're sending all of these ships. Don't worry, we're not going to send troops. But now behind the scenes, there's plans to, oh, don't worry, these are peacekeeping forces. After the fighting is over, we're going to send our blue hat soldiers into the area, you know, just to oversee things. And I mean, I could understand why people would have mixed feelings about that. I understand why some people would be opposed to that. I'm not so sure how to feel about it right now. For one, we don't even know if this is going to happen. And for two, Israel is, at this moment, they're not backing down. They want to continue the fight. And even though they divided Gaza, they've divided the Gaza Strip, they went like basically straight down the middle. They haven't moved too far north or too far south yet. So there's still plenty of Gaza for them to fight in. And I would assume that after they drove straight through the middle, you know, Hamas went to either side, and they're probably getting prepared for, you know, whenever the IDF, the Israeli military, starts moving from the middle of Gaza, going more south or going more north. I don't see Israel backing down anytime soon. I think that at the very least, this is going to stretch for a few more months, if not longer, most likely longer. But if they're able, even if they're able to talk Israel into backing off a little bit, it looks as if they're going to push in these other forces to oversee things. And I think that at the end of the day, when everything is said and done here, I don't think there's going to be anything gained. When the fighting is over, we'll be back to square one, and we'll all just sit around and wait until they attack each other again at some point. That's the way it looks. Now, Netanyahu, he's saying that not only do we want to destroy Hamas, we want to destroy some of the ways of life, some of the ways they're teaching these kids to hate Jewish people, teaching these kids to hate Israel. These are his words, not mine. So, I mean, how do you do that? For one, people have been making the point, even Elon Musk made this point. Every time you kill a Hamas soldier, or whatever you want to call them, 3 or 4 more are created. So you could kill as many people as you want. It's hard to stomp out certain ideologies and ways of thinking, you know? So he wants to totally dismantle the way they're educating the people over there. He wants to wipe out Hamas in its entirety, which I can tell you right now is not going to happen. They could fight there for however long. You're not going to wipe out these people, you know, in its entirety, because they're creating new little Hamas members all over the world. They're using TikTok. I mean, hell, one of your kids right now may be a Hamas member for all we know, judging by how things are going in local colleges. But, you know, let me know what you think about all of this down in the comments below. If you're feeling generous and you want to drop a super thanks to support the channel, that would be awesome, because YouTube is demonetizing all of these videos. But while you're down there, drop a comment, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all very soon in the next video.